'cause he's coming.
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
The terror of the neighborhood
Where's Dennis?
is back. It's Dennis the Menace.
Dennis?
Strikes again.
Dennis.
This hose looks loose.
In an all-new, fun-filled feature-length movie. Starring Justin Cooper as everyone's favorite mischief maker.
He's a menace.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Hope you enjoyed last week's. Man, what an epic interview. Hollywood hairstylist, Emmanuel Miller. What a great guy. His book, if you're listening, you can't see me hold this up, The Kindest Cut, Volume 1 and 2. The guy, we only probably talked about such a sliver of his career and life. So amazing just to think about that job and the kind of jealousy when he works with a certain actor for 3 or 4 films. Then he's like, oh, you're not working on anything. Let me go with someone else. And then they call, and it's kind of like this like catty drama. And we had to do this week's sequel, Dennis Menace Strikes Again, because we got our first ever Don Rickles story, which was so amazing. He's ribbing everyone except Emmanuel because he's like, you're too nice of a guy, which is amazing. And Emmanuel is great. So if you haven't heard that, be sure to check that out. Subscribe. But man, Dennis the Menace Strikes Again. This is actually, I think, the third Dennis the Menace film. One in the late 80s, the one that me and Nick kind of grew up on. This one, my wife actually saw. Before I mention anything about the animals that this kid's allowed to keep, the really mean playing of a grandpa by George Kennedy, I got to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you? Wow, that bad? Wow, that was like a Mirror 3.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I mean, I'm looking back on the movies we've done this year, and this is
our sixth year. This is our 6th year that we're finishing up.
Okay. So this is our 6th year. This is, first of all, I'm a little upset that this is our ender for the year.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
But I look back on the movies we did this year, and this was the year of bad movies. Like, we really did way more bad movies. I think if we could pull out maybe 2 or 3 decent movies, decent. But this movie was awful. Like, and like, I love Don Rickles, but he couldn't be Don Rickles here. He was a cartoon version of himself. Like, he was almost like a Muppet in this movie. And I feel like
a Muppet.
He did. And I feel like this, first of all, we saw way too much of Don Rickles in this movie. I mean,
well, it's a Don Rickles vehicle. It's Ladybugs, but with it's like Rodney is mostly in that movie. This movie is all him.
It is, but what I mean by seeing too much, we saw his nose with nose hair. We saw his yellow teeth, his gangly toes with toenails. Like, we saw basically almost his entire naked body. And there's a scene here that Dennis absolutely saw his junk.
Yes, that is true.
Oh, I mean, okay. So, I mean, this movie is just, it almost like the acting was so bad. It was like watching an off-Broadway play of Dennis the Menace. That's what I felt like the movie was.
Well, it was like a TV movie. So, so this is our last sequel, like Jamie said, of the year. Next week, before the year is done, we will have our 2024 year in a review. We'll give out some sequel awards, the best. Jamie said there's not that much best. The worst, things to reflect on. Definitely, I can already know the line of the year that'll be on there. Has to do with Trancers 2. If you haven't seen it, sure to check out that review. And to finish out the year, we have to have our resident bad sequel expert. He's covered. It's so hard now, Nick. Nick is definitely has done the most sequels with us. He's our Munchie expert. Then we throw him a bone here and there. We give him Cannonball Run 2. There's so many of him. But
that was the only bone. I think that was the only bone we threw.
I know, Ghoulie. He saw the Ghoulies go to college. They got an education. They got out of the city. And Richard Kind was the voice of the Cat Ghoulie. And Nick's covered many more. And Nick, how are you, man?
Hey, guys. How we doing? Thanks for having me back. I don't know how I feel about this movie, but I guess we're gonna dive into that. I don't know, but yeah, great to be here. Good to see you guys always. So yeah,
Nick, I didn't know you were coming on until like literally like maybe an hour before,
and I forgot until this morning. Yeah,
but after watching the movie, it makes sense that you are on here because this is definitely a bottom dweller.
Yeah, I mean, there's been definitely worse, but
you know, one of the things I judge it on how long it takes me to watch a movie. I mean, considering this movie's only what like if you take its credits out of it, like an hour. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
like
a
an
long
hour,
movie.
yeah.
Okay, I had to watch it in 2 parts. Okay,
Yeah.
and so like it just I needed a break. It's bad. It's bad.
You know what's crazy about it? For a movie that is only an hour, there is like, again, it's like all these movies, like in the other Dennis the Menace, the one that like scarred me and Nick as a kid when Christopher Lloyd was like a homeless creeper looking at kids on the playground, like trying to kidnap the kids. Like that's a kid's movie, the one with Walter Matthau.
I was gonna say Walter Matthau, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But like this movie, there's like not much going on. It's like you have this old man who's getting tricked into something. There's nothing really with Dennis. Like Dennis makes a mess, and that's it.
And there's kind of a Home Alone vibe going on a little bit with the with the Wet Bandits,
Brian Noel
wannabes,
Murray, and yes, yeah.
Well, see,
little
so
bit.
that's the thing with this movie. Like this movie does have a lot of known names in there. You know, I mean, a lot of big names. And I just think it was very miscasted. I think Don Rickles as Mr. Wilson it's a large miscast because Don Rickles is funny as Don Rickles, and here he's not. So he just doesn't look the type of a Mr. Wilson, right? Walter Matthau,
no one
Mr.
has
Wilson.
been a Mr. Wilson. Like if you think about whenever, like in the beginning of the movie with the cool credits that show the cartoon, when you're really like, wow, like looking at the paper, the Sunday paper, looking at it, and like, first of all, no one ever looks like Mr. Wilson. It's always like a mustache. And he has like kind of a crew cut. Nobody's had a mustache like him.
No, Walter Matthau had a mustache.
He had a mustache in that movie, did he?
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think so.
I just think like, well, maybe if he did, short and stocky is what you think of when you see the Mr. Wilson thing. And how about this kid doesn't have blonde hair? This kid has orange hair. We're getting an orange-haired kid for Dennis the Menace.
Which that leads me to later on. I mean, if you look at the parents, the dad has jet black hair and the mom has blonde hair. So how the hell did they make a ginger?
And the mom was? Did you guys see who the mom was?
Yeah, Susan.
Well,
Seinfeld.
Watch those stamps.
I do think that there's a problem with this movie that the parents allow this kid to hang around with old people.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like, this kid multiple times says Mr. Wilson is his best friend.
You're my best friend. You're my bestest best friend.
That's a problem, right? You know, as a parent, why are you allowing your kid to hang out with your next door neighbor who's a grown up? You know, like old. You know, like just that's weird.
And it's not hanging out.
White's there.
It's him messing with him. Like it's never like, hey, you want to come? Like I had a neighbor, Mr. B. He was like a cool neighbor I grown up. He put together my first set of golf clubs. He used to show me woodworking and stuff like that. But like that was like, hey, let me teach you something. This is like you're annoying me, and he would annoy him every day. And on his end, this is like you're my friend.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think he's messing with him. I think Dennis is a little psychotic. You know,
he is crazy. Yeah,
but I don't think he's trying to mess with Mr. Wilson. That's the thing. Like I think when he brings, right in the beginning of the movie for his birthday, he brings all those bugs. I don't think he's really trying to like scare him. I think he genuinely thinks that like. So I think he's definitely a kid that should not be left alone. Clearly
he shouldn't have those animals.
He shouldn't be unsupervised ever. I mean, and later on when he gets grounded, that was the first time he's ever got grounded. Like this kid is like nonstop, messing things up. And I was surprised they even thought about grounding him because it looked like he got away with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little sociopath in the making. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get like right in the beginning, we see Betty White, which is great if you think about it. How long did Betty White pass? What, a couple of years ago? So she'd be like probably 101 or 102. So this movie came out in 99.
Yeah.
So she's probably like mid 70s at this point. She looks great. Like
she looks
just
awesome.
Thinking about that.
She looked like she was on the Girl to Girls. Like
I know. Yeah.
It was almost like she was playing the same role. Also, she was clueless. She was like naive, like it was like she was playing the Golden Girls role. She was probably 50 in this movie.
She's the best though. She's so funny.
Yeah. And then it's a
Oh.
cool, like, to see, like, not many shows depict, like, the old-timey relationships that aren't real anymore. I know that, like, some older generations, like, already went through that. But, like, he says to her, like, I have to go out. And can you make me breakfast? Because when those guys came, like, later in the movie, she's like, what? And he names, like, 17 things like he's at a friggin' Denny's. And he's like, oh, come on. And it's like, she makes all this food. It's like, does that happen?
Well, she's definitely the stereotype of, like you said, the old school wife.
Mrs.
I mean,
Cleaver, like the 50s,
look at the
60s
size
housewife.
of cake she made, and it's only them two.
It's always
She basically made a wedding cake. Well, I mean, like, it was a massive cake, and it was only them two. Like, you think she make cupcakes or cookies? No, she makes this huge cake. It was huge. So, and
do you guys notice
wanna know what-
Dennis's yeah.
I was gonna say, I want to know what he does for a living, because his house, or what he did for a living, because his house is pretty big. He's able to write checks left and right, for tons of money.
Oh my God, yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I don't know. Complain. He just loves to. He just wants to retire. Like, that's what he really wants to do.
DMV.
Yeah. His dream of the retirement community was like, the first thing was like a positive for it, and then the second one was like, they are really high fences with security guards, so no kids can come in.
Keep the kids out.
Yeah.
How bad how bad living next to Dennis that you're willing to sell your house because of this kid?
That's true.
I mean, like, he's willing to go as far as he can away and he's spending so much money on the house to move just to get away from this kid.
Yeah. It's like you have an unreal, oh man, my neighbors, and they have a trash yard. They throw parties. They're loud. It's like, they have a kid. That's
They have
what's
an
making me
8-year-old
move.
kid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think he ever talks to the parents and say, hey, listen, your kid's a pain in the ass? I mean, he's constantly doing something. Like, like the parents, are they oblivious to what goes on? Like, why is he not talking to the parents?
Well, he does
Why are
talk
the
to him right in the
cops
beginning
there
of the
more
movie.
often?
About Dennis?
Yeah, when he has the shaving cream on his face and all that stuff, and he's like,
Yeah.
what's his name? What's the dad's name? I don't even know. But he's like, your kid's a freaking menace. Like, he's like, he's not a kid. He's a. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, go ahead.
It was right after he like fell down the. Are we like?
Well, yeah,
There,
we'll get to that in a second, but yeah. So the whole
Yeah,
thing with, he does like talk to them only a few times in this movie. So you had to think prior to this, I'm sure he talked to them a bunch, but the parents aren't doing anything. And this is the first time that he's being grounded, and not even the beginning part we're going to talk about right now. Because so, like, we open up to the movie, Jamie alluded to it already, giant birthday cake for just them two. It's his birthday. And did you guys notice the calendar when he says to his wife, to Betty White, hey, you didn't let Dennis know it's my birthday. And she's like, no, why would I tell him? And his calendar was handmade. The numbers weren't in order, but somehow it landed perfectly on the 22nd and circled. Like, somewhere like it was like a 5, then an 8, then a 6. But somehow it still landed on it. And he was so excited to go over there. And so he wants to start his birthday with a bath or a cake.
Okay. First of all, that was such an old school bathtub.
Yeah.
Oh,
that he
those are
was in.
cool. I
Like,
love one of those.
Yeah. So, first of all, Betty White ignores her husband multiple times about Dennis because she clearly told Dennis it's his birthday. Because how did Dennis know that it's his birthday? And throughout the movie, she thinks like Dennis is like the sweetest kid. So she literally ignores him. But the fact that Dennis goes up, he's taking a bath. Well, first of all, we see him getting ready, like I said before, and we see up his nose with its long nose hairs. Then we see his teeth up close, the yellow, and like we saw old man every part of this guy's body, and I mean, he's shaped like a turtle. I mean, he looks like a turtle. Like
his belly
is turtle.
huge.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
His Buddha.
No, he reminds me of one of those things from the Super Mario Brothers movies, like the.
Oh, he does look like a Koopa.
Like Super Trooper or Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's shirtless throughout the movie. Like he's like
He is shirtless.
shamed at all of his body. But yeah, he's taking a bath. And just Dennis somehow is able to sneak upstairs, go upstairs.
When I mean
He doesn't even-
upstairs,
I was gonna say,
how
sneak,
did
he
all
just-
those jars not fall?
Oh.
Not one thing fell off of there.
On the way, he had the wagon, right? He was on the wagon.
Yeah, he had the wagon.
In the radio fly. the magical radio flyer that we see throughout the movie. Somehow, it somehow can hold everything in. And I love, this is how chaotic this kid is, because when he first drops the frog, when the frog falls out, and he sort of sees
by the way, there's a huge frog.
Ginormous. While Mr. Wilson's in the bath, and the frog's jumping around in the bath, and at the same time, Dennis falls on the ground, and he flails his arms, and while he flails it, all the tops fall off at the same time.
That's how they fall, but they don't fall going up the stairs, bouncing on every one
They
way
do
up.
not, no.
But him falling down is what makes everything go all over the place.
And some of those animals too.
Dude, the one is like a coral-looking snake.
There's a possum.
One of the most
There's a
possum.
possum.
Yeah.
There was a possum? I didn't even see the possum.
Yeah. Next to the scorpions.
Wait, he had a possum in a jar?
That's what I'm at. That's what I'm saying.
There was a big cage. There was the one big cage that was sitting on
was
there
there?
too.
Because I'm like, there's scorpions and there's lab mice, the white lab mice.
Lab mice with wings or a dress.
Yeah.
It was like a pink ballerina outfit.
There was a bow on it.
So that goes back to what Doug said before: is how did he get access to all these animals? And all these, I do you want to say animals? They're like creatures. So how did he have access to all these creatures?
Yeah, and did you notice another thing, which I'm surprised PETA wouldn't have went nuts on it? I know we talked about PETA, way back Fly too. There was no holes in
I know,
jars.
Yeah.
The frog was in a jar with just a tight lid.
Yeah.
That's how you make him jump far.
PETA had a field day with this movie.
Well, how about the fact that when he did finally get to the stairs, he opens the door and he was creeping, watching Rickles in the bathtub. He was looking at him. And then
frog
Okay, and
the
then
frog in the bath, the jaws.
I mean, yeah. But this, you're gonna tell me. So when he gets out of the tub and he puts his robe on, okay, when he's going down the stairs.
Whoa, you can't talk about that yet. You got to talk about the Jaws scene in the thing.
Oh, no.
When we see Rickles' thigh multiple times and we hear don, and it's very Jaws / Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. And then when you see the frog and it opens its mouth, it squirts. It's like a water squirter at him.
Do frogs do that?
It spits like the dinosaur in Jurassic Park with Newman.
Yes, yeah.
It does. But again, like I said before, we saw his leg. Was slowly up his leg. We saw every sunspot and mole that's on his leg, and we literally saw his.
We saw almost everything.
We saw everything. Yeah,
everything.
Because even before that, when he's looking in the mirror and he's like, ew, there's spots and there's bumps, and I'm like, he's pointing out his flaws.
Everything. There was no hiding anything. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, so you're right. When he gets out, the one thing I have to say is in this movie, the physical comedy of obviously whoever the stuntman guy was. But dude, when he went down the stairs, I don't know, were you going to mention, you were talking about the stairs?
Well, I was just saying, yes, when he's first of all, throughout this movie, Mr. Wilson should be dead. I mean, he's an old, fat, out of shape, older gentleman. And the amount of abuse his body takes throughout the movie, anyone would, he gets a crook in his neck. That's the main thing he has. His back, he should be broken. He should be broken.
He was never in the hospital in this movie. Did he even go to the doctors?
He gets right back up every time.
Yeah, all the cracking of the joints too. Every time he moves, he's like, oh.
But then the next day he's fine. It's only he pops his joints back in and then he's good. So so he's falling down the stairs on his back with his legs up in the air in a robe. Who just got out of the shower. Dennis is atop of the stairs looking right at him as he's going down. So you're telling me the view that Dennis has is Rickles' legs up in the air like he's in a stirrup with his robe almost up all the way down, seeing everything jiggle around. He saw everything.
And you can add the line, Mr. Wilson, you might think I'm crazy, but I think you're nuts.
Well, he definitely saw them.
Yeah.
And why did it take him forever to fall down the stairs? How high were the stairs?
But I think an accident happened in that stunt because they had the front door open, and it was the radio. He was on the radio flyer. The way that guy fell, that was hard. Like it
Yeah.
didn't seem like he was supposed to twist and roll down the stairs. But then they could have, if that was a mistake, it was easy to fix. Hey, let's get all the creatures to crawl down at intense speed, only going after this man, not going for freedom from the jar that has no air in it. Let me just find this old man and lay on him.
Well, they're the gift. Why would they leave him?
And
So
and the fact
Is that the rule? If you give somebody a creature, it's theirs for life.
They know that. Yeah, of course.
the fact he's not screaming too, like there's clearly a snake that crawls inside of the robe, and I'm like, oh, I'd be screaming.
Like you know what? I would say the creatures are probably the least of his scary based on everything else. Like, I mean, again, imagine any adult or young person falling down the stairs the way he did. You're breaking bones. Like it's not, he's and what Betty White doesn't hear it until
she didn't hear anything. She didn't hear the scream from the frog squirt. She was still like, oh, let me make the cake.
Maybe this whole thing is a Jacob's Ladder scenario, and he died on the stairs,
and he's dead the rest of the movie. It would make sense that he fell for those disguises later in the movie because they did not change much at all.
The disguises some of those disguises
ridiculous. Like
I didn't know like the same guy. It was Brian Doyle Murray, and then the next time it was Brian Doyle Murray with a mustache and a little belly. And he fell for that?
They had it in the basement. Like they just they kept coming up with a different costume. Yeah, I didn't know who the other guy was at first because the costume was, it clearly looked fake, but I didn't know who was behind the man behind the mask. But
so you didn't look at the IMDb. So that's probably again. I know you said you didn't enjoy this movie, but pleasant surprise when you think of guys that are underrated. I think who have such a broad career of serious films, comedy. Like George Kennedy as the grandpa. Like I know he was playing something, but he is a silly guy like that. And
Naked Gun.
I liked him a lot.
He was.
That's what I mean. Oh yeah, no, I know. That's what I was saying. He's done so much.
He was in On the Waterfront too. I think
he's a big time actor. It's not he's made. But when I saw him in this role, I'm like, well, it makes sense. He did Naked Gun, and so if you can do Naked Gun, you can do this. But yeah, this is like ridiculous.
I just needed him to
say this. He should have been the first call for, even though I know he did a great job, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective Jr. He should have maybe got the call for this. He would have been. Sure. He would have played that role, just the Hawaiian shirts he was wearing. But God, he shows up, and what a wild scenario! Like how can you just? Hey guys, I sold my Winnebago, and you still got that spare room? It's like, no, Grandpa, we don't.
And we see this a lot in movies all the time. People move from one house to another. He had a small little suitcase. Like all his entire life was in that suitcase because he just sold his Winnebago and he's moving in. So that's all he had was that one suitcase. And it was small.
Why did he sell it? Give us something. There's no reason for him to do it. He just said, I'm selling it because I want to spend time with my grandson. There should be why didn't he just park it outside?
Because he wanted it at the end of the movie. He's like, I want my Winnebago back. So he's moving in with his children.
Did he say why he sold it in the first place?
He did.
No, he didn't. That's what I mean.
No, yeah.
Because I'm like, why did he sell it? Because he's like, oh, I sold my Winnebago. I'm like, why'd you sell it?
That's what I'm saying. You're moving in it's not like he needed to pay for something else. He's moving in with his, and why does he want to spend time with Dennis? Because he knew what kind of kid Dennis was. Because he even says,
he wanted to, like Susan from Seinfeld said. She said, remember, you can only handle Dennis for so long. And he's like, no. He was like almost trying to prove her wrong. Maybe it was some kind of like, hey, come on, I gotta love my grandson, even though he's Satan. He's like problem child.
He's like Damien.
Yeah. On the run.
Well, he definitely I would say maybe the grandpa's on a run. That's why he needed quick money for the Winnebago. He just needed to hide out. He knew he wasn't going to last. There's no way he was moving in there thinking he's going to be living there full time. You know, so
he regretted it right away. He said, "Is that room as big as I remember?"
Yeah. And think what was the last time he was there? Like, so you don't visit your kids?
Yeah.
The last time I remember, how long was the visit from last time? Right? I mean, so yeah. And what's the time frame in this movie? Like a couple days?
It's gotta be at least a week because he made like
I
a
was gonna say at least a
jogging
week.
thing. They go to the pool.
So the
They go to the fair.
didn't even last a week.
Maybe a few. No. It's got to be a few weeks because Carrot Top, like that whole gag was like probably 2 weeks worth. The way they were wearing the different outfits, the first time they met them.
No, I think that was the same day when they were wearing the different outfits because there was different contractors coming in. That's what I thought. I looked at it as because they had all his costumes with them, and you see him changing. And so I thought they had like they were pretending like they were all working on the house at the same time, and they were just getting out. I mean, you could be right. I could be right.
Maybe 2 weeks top at the most. At the most 2 weeks.
So the grandfather's plan was to come there, live with them, and spend time because he misses Dennis and wants to spend time with him. He lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah,
before he's ready to go back to the Winnebago.
He does say to Mr. Wilson, he's like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
That was like a very endearing moment later in the movie. But before we get there, so now Dennis, we get like the whole thing, which I kind of forgot about, but like kind of like the Little Rascals, Ski Man, Woman Haters Club. I hate girls, and the girl Gina, who's the tomboy girl, she went on like right after this to be in all the Spy Kids movies. She starred in all those movies. Like a pretty good career. Like I looked at her IMDb. So you have that thing in it. Like we hate girls.
Do they not look at her as a girl?
They don't at all.
Right?
She likes bugs.
Well, yeah. She said the one kid said she don't punch like a girl.
So their definition of being allowed into the no girls club is if you like bugs and you got to punch hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Margaret's very jealous.
T-shirts
She's like,
jeans.
how can I compete with that? She likes bugs.
Why is she dressed like she's from 1920?
She looks like she's like Lucille Ball Jr. Like what the hell? Like what's going on?
But the way she dressed and the hairstyle, it was like she was like 30 years before, or 50 years before.
They do that. They do her to the comic, just like Dennis. Not the other. I don't know. I don't remember the other friends in the comic. But like if you remember the girl from the 93 or 94 version, same kind of thing. Like kind of dressed like almost like Raggedy Ann.
I think she was funny. I think she was good in the role.
She was the best part.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was the best.
And yeah, it's funny. So I was seeing if she, I looked up her IMDb and I found her. I think I found her on Instagram. She doesn't act anymore, and she does something completely different, but has the same face. I almost reached out to her and I wanted to ask her just if it was. I was curious if that was her, because she it's been years since she acted.
She was great. She was great in the movie.
No, she was funny. I mean, she was probably the funniest part of the whole movie. If you want to say anything that's funny, I know Doug said there's gonna be a couple scenes you're gonna be laughing out loud, but I don't know if I
would say the frog. You definitely probably like.
You know what? It's just.
I might say they're funny, but it's like, whoa, like this is the greatest thing. Like the diving board scene later.
The diving board was funny. The diving board was funny.
Honestly, the one that made me just like, this is so ridiculous. It reminded me of just some Son of the Mask with the nose and all that. It was when Carrot Top's in the carrier.
Oh, the mailbag.
The mailbag. I mean, that book was like.
Why does he have to be in the mailbag? It makes no sense.
But it was just so absurd. I just like, I'm like, all right, all right. So, all right.
Oh man. So now they're at the carnival. Dennis again invites his best friend, says we're going to go to the carnival. So they're down there. And the reason why he wants to go is when he catches wind of George Kennedy is going to be in the dunk tank. Again, George Kennedy's been there 4 hours and he somehow was able to sign up for the dunk tank.
Well, this place seems a little weird, this fair, because they had frozen pickles on a stick.
yeah.
I know like fried pickles are a thing, but
I never had a frozen pickle. I'm gonna try that. Oh, well, when this is done recording, I'll pop a pickle in the freezer. I'll tell you guys how it is.
Like,
do a frozen banana, chocolate covered frozen banana.
I've had that.
It's a real thing, though. That's a real thing. Frozen pickle. Ugh.
I like pickles on pizza. Actually, it's pretty good.
Okay. I mean, you're talking to an Italian. I mean, that's worse than pineapples on a pizza. Pickles on a pizza? Are you serious?
Good if it's good, I eat
my
it.
gosh. What
It
do
would
you
be
mean?
sacrilege of like.
Okay, there's no pickles. Pickles have such a strong taste that you're ruining the pizza. You're not even tasting pizza.
Oh,
You're
it's
tasting
good.
pickle.
Homemade
pickle
Nick-
pizza.
No, homemade pizza. You do. Nick never had the pickle pizza, but it's good.
Oh.
I like it.
Nick, you're
I like
Italian.
Yeah.
You're okay with pickles on a pizza?
What's,
No.
what do you-
I mean,
what's it mean by
I
race?
wouldn't, unless they did like a Cuban sandwich pizza mashup type of thing. That might work.
No, it's a pizza. Have a Cuban sandwich. You don't need a Cuban sandwich pizza. It's a
I'm
pizza.
German. I don't yell at people if they put odd things on hot dogs. I don't yell at
Put a
them.
hot dog inside. But
I don't know. Germans always like the crowd.
I like a
But I'm
pickleback
saying,
shot.
like there
That's
could
good.
be any. If it works, it works. Yeah, it works. It works. But
all right,
so now we go to the
disagree.
carnival and we see Mr. Wilson shows up. He's getting ready to dunk him. Hey guys, Mr. Wilson's gonna dunk my grandpa. Oh, this is gonna be great. And he like pays all the money. He looks like because he has his arm is making sounds like a robot.
What is like? Okay, he's got to know that he's not an athlete, and all these things he's trying to do is just pathetic. Like his throw looks like the way we would throw with our opposite hand. Like
He needs.
like the confidence he walked up there with, that thinking like this. I'm thinking like, wow, he's gonna throw a fastball. Like he was so confident with this, and it literally looked like he was throwing it with his opposite hand.
I literally thought when he threw that first ball, I'm like, he's gonna need Tommy John surgery like tomorrow.
He's really like a walking cartoon. He's like I said,
oh,
cartoon
that's
and
why he
Muppets.
fits.
His facial
He's Mr.
expression.
Magoo. Like he's
Hey,
like I know Leslie Nielsen is the greatest at like those
Oh.
type of roles, like wrongfully accused, lethal
Spy Hard.
weapon. Yeah, like
Well, I'm
but
just
all
saying,
of these
his-
movies.
His look, he just looks like
Yeah.
a potato, like Mr. Potato. Like that's why in Toy Story he's Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah,
He he just has a weird look to him, and it fits him perfectly. That's why it's
he's
so
like
funny
too
that
funny.
he makes
Yeah.
fun of everybody. But look what he looks like.
Mhm.
Like you would think like this guy should not be making fun of anybody.
And that's what makes it funny that he's like, I'm gonna roast you, but I know I look
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
frog.
Yeah,
Well, I think people are afraid to roast him because he'll just come back 10 times harder. Like,
He'll destroy you.
yeah. So then from there we have we meet Carrot Top. Jamie didn't know it was him yet. We see a man who's clearly old in face but not in body.
I was trying to figure out what they were, because I obviously didn't know where they were going with it, and I was trying to just figure out this guy, like, what is he on, like cocaine or something? Like he was like so, but he looked weird. Like I didn't realize, I didn't know, like was it a mask? Like it was just like it was a good mask. Don't get me. I mean, it really
It
was.
was,
A good mask. Nick, did you know that was Carrot Top?
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know if you guys watched the show like on Peacock, The Day of the Jackal, but the first scene of the show,
Eddie Raymond?
Redmayne is dressed up like this old man, and he looks just like Carrot Top in the movie.
Oh,
I thought
really?
it was. That's why I'm like, yo, Eddie Redmayne's in this movie. But then I saw
Oh,
it was
yeah, I
Carrot
read
Top.
an article. He said I got into character and I researched Carrot Top. In the Menace Strikes Again.
He said-
That's
they
how
were like,
I knew if I can do that. We actually did one take, and we had somebody that was thrown in a dunk tank.
But
Oh.
no, I didn't know it was Carrot Top at first, but soon
when
enough I found out.
When he took it off, though, I was like, right. Well, now it makes sense. Now I can see like the personality. Like Carrot Top is kind of like that. He's another cartoon character, right? He's a
Ugh.
cartoon
Oh
character
my
himself.
God,
and
yeah.
He's kind of that one side, like just you could. But he is funny. I mean, I love his stand up. I think his stand up is great. I think he does a funny part in playing the goofy disguise guy. I can't believe the second disguise he does, which is
Oh my god!
I mean, I
That's
can't
gonna-
believe they went there. Like that's
We're gonna need to reserve at least 4 hours to talk about just that.
yeah.
before he spoke, I was even more worried.
Oh.
So I was like, what? Because I mean, the way he looked, I was like, what are
When
they
the door
doing?
opened, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be."
Yeah.
Oh,
Think about it. Like
no.
he could have done anything, like
Yeah.
and the disguise, and that's what they chose. Like
he could have been
yeah.
like a hippie. He could have been like a hippie
Let me-
doctor.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that
There's
was
three things on top of like doing that brown face as an Indian guy.
Oh.
But there's like two things after that made it worse because even though this movie's only an hour, you almost forgot about it for a little bit, and then there was like two references. So we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice the really cool? I was hoping there was more that I could recognize, but I don't remember a lot of the Sunday comics. I remember like Beetle Bailey,
Family Circus.
Family Circus, like obviously Charlie Brown. But you guys
Blondie?
noticed the Charlie Brown shirt in the background?
Or not
No, I
Blondie.
In
did
this
not.
scene, there's an extra with a Charlie Brown shirt, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I was looking at all the other shirts, but I'm like, nothing really fits.
So do you think they were doing some throwbacks to other comics in the movie that we didn't realize?
I don't know. I should have looked it up. The only one we noticed, my wife was up at this point, and I was
definitely a
like,
Charlie Brown shirt.
oh yeah.
With like the
Oh,
yellow.
I hope
with the
nobody
black-
else is wearing a yellow shirt with a black diagonal stripe going up and down.
Squiggly line.
Was it a bald kid wearing it?
It wasn't a bald
Did-
guy, but they used him
did he
again
have-
as an extra in the next scene run in.
Did he have a beagle with him?
See, that would have been funny if it was like if you look. I mean, Charlie Brown almost looks like a garbage pail kid, right? I mean, like he's like a kid who's literally has like a comb over. Like it would have been funny if they had like a kid in the background wearing that shirt as an extra. Like that would have been funny.
Yeah.
See, that would have been a funny throw-in.
Yeah. They missed the
Well, yeah,
beat
so
on that one.
So from this is when he's so amazed about the guy. Like he's following the Carrot Top, who's like this perceived to be an old man in amazing shape. And then Brian Doyle Murray we meet. He's the professor. And he talks about, he's on this de-aging serum, this treatment we have, But the university, we don't have a lot of money. We're a university, So patients have to pay. And then it's like, oh yeah, come to my house, whatever day it was. And it was like, all right, cool.
See, this is
but-
where the movie becomes. It should have been called Mr. Wilson, because like
Mr. Wilson, yeah.
the whole movie revolves around that plot. That's the plot of the movie. Like before this, it's just seeing Mr. Wilson interact with Dennis. There's no storyline. It's just that Dennis is being Dennis and Mr. Wilson being Wilson. But this is the plot. It's the rest of the movie revolves around this. So like you said before, Doug, this movie really is about Don Rickles as Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
It's not really.
There's
Dennis
no
the Menace is a
conflict.
character. No.
Yeah, like in the other one with Walter Matthau, there was the whole thing about like Walter Matthau was having this big. Remember they had that flower? It was like this special flower that
Yeah,
only
the
like
flower
bloomed
show.
for like for like the
Ugh.
full moon in August. And it was like this big event, and so that screwed up. And then he yelled at Dennis. Dennis runs away. Dennis is like kind of kidnapped by Christopher Lloyd, the homeless guy who was staring
So
at the kids at the
creepy.
playground, which is like wild that is a thing. Another movie you can't watch as an adult too is Hook. You watch Hook as an adult and you watch it as a kid. It's very
I haven't
weird
seen it.
that you never seen it?
No, I haven't seen it since I was a
Oh,
kid.
okay.
Like I.
Okay. So in that movie, like if people haven't seen it, he was in love with Wendy. Peter
Yes.
Pan and Wendy were obviously in thing. So Peter Pan, Robin Williams, is dating Wendy's granddaughter. Weird. And she set it up. And she set it
Oh
up.
my gosh.
And she's still in love with Peter Pan. Weird. Very weird.
It is weird.
But anyway,
It is
Still a
weird.
great, still a
that-
great movie.
so then-
You know, Melanie
Yeah.
Griffith was one of the pirates, right?
what?
Not Melanie Griffith.
No, Glenn Close. Glenn Close.
Glenn Close. I'm sorry, Glenn
Glenn
Close.
Yeah.
Close.
What a great,
beard
yeah,
and
that's such a cool thing.
She's got a beard and everything. Oh yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hot. Rufio.
So this
Rufio.
movie
Wait,
definitely-
whoa.
No,
So
I
I
was
just said Glenn Close had a beard and everything, and you were like hot. So you
I
thought
was
she looked
seeing
good
if you guys ran
with
into
the beard? Oh. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
so for like a few seconds while we're watching the movie, I'm like, you know what? There's no music budget. We get like a Casio keyboard happening, and it's like, oh, okay, there's like nothing. And then we have Mr. Wilson. His whole thing is he's like McFly. Don't call him, McFly's chicken. When it comes to Mr. Awesome, you can't call him old. And then we have a dance off to play that funky music, White Boy. Right? Was
No,
Is it-
no. Wasn't there a dart scene at the
That
fair?
was after. That was
after the dance party?
yeah.
Oh yeah. That's after the dance party. The darts in his ass. That was after.
Was it at the fair?
Yeah, but that was
Yeah.
after the dance party though.
The dance off
That's
happens,
at the
then
fair?
the darts.
The dance party
Yeah, the
happens,
dance
and then,
off
and
at
then
the fair.
That's right. Okay.
he
I
he
forgot
blows
about
his
that.
back out.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the wedding, American Wedding. Like it
It
was
wasn't
like
Oh
really-
yeah.
It wasn't really dancing though. It was just like two old men standing in one place, making funny faces and moving their arms.
It was probably an ad lib. They're like, just do your thing, go out there and just act stupid. Like, do like a silly, because all these guys, like when they dance like that, I mean, it is funny the way they move. Like, it's like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of dancing that would have been for that time,
And the crazy editing too was just like, I was like,
so dumb, right? The fast forward rewind, rewind. It's like, I don't even see him look like that. Like, they showed like, what's his name's arm,
and do kids dance? Like, they were dancing like I don't think kids go to parties and dance like that, like at that age, so that, like, and they look like they were doing that.
They were excited, man. Dude, this is the best. His grandpa, who he loves, and his best friend are dancing next to each other. What a dream!
Kids living his best life.
Dude. But when the next scene, when I don't know where, like, we cut to after he's injured, we cut to outside. Dennis and his friends are already in the middle of a dart game.
Wait,
like they're already doing this for a while.
Do you realize that every scene, he gets injured? He's injured in every scene. Mr. Wilson's in, something happens to him. Yeah, injury-wise.
Injury or property damage, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, something always happens to him. But dude, when he like is talking to George Kennedy, and then when he falls into
before he even falls into that, those kids didn't miss one balloon.
They were pros. They were hustlers.
They literally hit every single balloon. There wasn't one miss.
They learned from Carrot Top.
Bring him to the bar for sure, because those kids are ringers. Oh yeah, I'll take anybody here. I'll play you for 200. How about that kid over there? That little kid over there? Yeah, sure.
But yeah, when he falls and his ass is sticking through the hole, and they were like, "Look at that big balloon."
And they all aim for that one. I love it.
Oh,
that part had me laughing. I was laughing at that part.
But see, he falls with the darts in him. He falls backwards on his back and ass, which means the darts went like even further because he landed on the darts.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
His pants, no holes. And when he's walking, the darts are almost like he had him in his backhand and he was dropping them. They were falling like, dude. You see his butt, no holes. And this is when he's like, he sees Carrot Top as the old man and Brian Doyle Murray again. And be like, you know what? Whatever, I'll pay. I want to be young again. It's like, okay, great. We'll meet you at your house in 2 days. And then that's when he rips the mask off. And it's like, wow, okay, Carrot Top. Even though I knew it was him already, that's great that you didn't know it was him. That's awesome.
It was funny though. Did you notice that? So like it like shows him from the outside, and then it shows him like getting into the car, and the mask is clearly like it's like barely onto his face when he gets in the car, and all he does is peel it off. And I'm like, all right, it's pretty funny.
You know what? It was a good mask though. Like, it really was a good mask. I mean, like, listen, you could tell there's something off. But I mean, it looked as good as a fake face can look. I mean, so I just don't know what they get.
I have in my notes that he looked better with the mask on.
Ooh, wow, Carrot Top. He just turned off the podcast. He just turned it off.
He took it off and I got scared. I was like, oh shit.
But where'd they get like that? That seems pretty high tech to have a mask like that. And yet they have like the stuff these guys have. I mean, that machine at the end, like where'd that come from? Like,
the thing they made. Well, we'll get to it then. But now that you mention that, because I don't think I wrote this down. So the whole thing was like, hey, you get this machine for free. Write us a check for a security deposit for, I think it was like 10 or 15 grand.
15 for the 15.
15
it was
grand,
like, you're not going to cash. No, it's just a deposit. We're only going to cash if something. They never cashed. Like, wouldn't he have like, I don't know how much money he had, but it was just like, all right, you guys got 15 grand. What else do you want from this guy? Go to the next.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. They spent so much time trying to hustle this one old guy, assuming he's got tons of money, when you have a whole street they could have worked on. Like, or why were they picking on him, thinking that he had so much money? And they knew they had trouble with Dennis the minute they met Dennis. So, like, it seemed like it was way too much work to try to get money out of this guy.
And you can't scam more than once, I'm sure, in a whole town. Like, Al Bundy's face was on places everywhere that said, don't cash a check from this guy.
These guys proved you can do it over and over and over and over again.
Well,
Actually, the neighbor and seeing that, hey, that's the same fucking guy with
like,
a mustache.
doesn't the cop say something like good? He can't. It's or
George
something like,
Wendt. Yeah, we'll talk about him. He's
Oh, God.
he's the person that I'm like, oh my God, this is cool. Let's see what you're gonna say. And he brings back that
yeah.
racist stuff. We'll
Yeah. Oh
talk
my
about
gosh.
that in a little
Okay.
bit.
All right. We're not there. So.
So now we're at the pool scene because the only thing that happened between now and then was, Mr. Wilson's like, oh, he's achy. He walks outside. Dennis and George Kennedy are dressed in jogging outfits, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going jogging. Do you want to go?"
Okay. George Kennedy's not going jogging. He's as big as he's bigger than Don Rickles, but he's not in shape at all. He's a fat guy too. He's not going jogging. So I don't know who he's kidding with that one. So yeah.
But then he invites him to the pool, and then, oh man, I'd love for you to go, Mr. Wilson. Oh no, it's okay. And I forgot he says like a dig to him. George Kennedy says a dig to make him feel like I gotta go. And then he goes to Betty White.
His age, like he's too old or something like that.
Yeah.
But how much fun? Like Dennis wants Mr. Wilson to go, but how much fun can you have with Mr. Wilson at a pool? He's excited to get Mr. Wilson to go there, but let's just say for argument's sake, Mr. Wilson says, "Sure, I'll go." What are you going to do with Mr. Wilson there? He's going to sit. He's going to sit in a pool and not do any move
and sleep. He's going to sleep.
Really have? Right, and he's going to sleep
and give dating advice.
Oh, dude. But I do love their dynamic. Like, I would love. I wonder if they ever played husband and wife on anything else or a couple.
Oh, I'm sure.
Their
Betty and Don.
He's just a link. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
but their relationship, there wasn't, even though this is obviously a Don Rickles vehicle, because we see him most of the movie, their interactions, anytime they talk, it is really wholesome, and they really do like put each other in check. And it seemed like it was like probably a lot of fun, like to see like these two legends like being together.
Yes, but I think if you put anyone with Betty White, it's going to seem wholesome, right? She's the definition of wholesome, right? I mean, her character in Golden Girls, she was the wholesome one. Like she was just so naive, and I think that's she comes across like that you could put the most evil person with her, and she's still going to be Miss Homebody, night. Like so, I think that's a big part of it because Rickles is just that angry guy anyway. So she made him
She's the perfect counter to like Rickles' like crotchety like old neighbor. She's like so positive and like, oh dear, like
she's also clueless though. I mean,
she's very clueless.
You would think that she would want her husband to be so far away from Dennis because he's old and Dennis is clearly a threat to his health. And the fact that Betty White still is okay with him hanging out with Dennis shows how clueless she is. So I think if she
she has a really big insurance policy.
Or that
get rid of him.
A possibility. Yeah. Okay.
She's like, Dennis, keep hanging out with my husband. Like, I'm trying to come on.
Yeah, I just took out another insurance policy, Dennis. So why don't you take him to the pool and bring those extension cords with you?
Yeah, don't forget those scorpions when you come over, all right?
Man.
But man, she's so good. You're right. No, she definitely makes everything so wholesome. But I just think even like every time he's like turning crotchety, she can like rein him in, like with Margaret, like asking for dating advice for a 7-year-old. She's like, he's 6.5 being 7 and he's just into bugs. And then Betty White gives the worst friggin' advice. Well, if you like somebody, you should just learn to love everything they love so they can be with you. It's like, that's disgusting. Like, don't like any mutual hobbies. Just like what they like.
Change who you are to please. Yes.
Yeah, but if you think about it, she's playing that old school wife who pleases her husband, right? You want food here, I'll make that for you. She's the homemaker, So I think that's why the advice is, again, talking to a girl who's looking like she's from the 30s, or the 40s, like the way she's dressed. Betty White is acting like she's still that, submissive to her husband. So I think that's where the advice comes from.
Yeah. You know when we came out around this time too, just thinking about Betty White, this era, where she plays kind of a clueless person, but she's like more psychotic. Lake Placid. Close.
Oh, Lake
Placid. Yeah, Lake Placid. Oh my God. That's so
I do love the first line he says when Margaret asks for the advice. He goes, how the hell should I know?
See, that's a good Rickles, I like that a little bit, but yeah.
He does that, and he has another one right after it. How about when he's going on the diving board? Like right after George Kennedy pulls his best like triple Lindy-ish, not as crazy as the triple Lindy.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Wilson's like, I can do that. And it's like, you haven't been in a pool in 40 years. And
why kids get attracted to Mr. Rickles, to Don Rickles? Like, I'm just like the girls go, like Dennis loves him, and this girl's going to him for advice, and like, him like is like that the kids.
Maybe just Dennis doesn't shut up about him. It's his best friend. So when Margaret's talking about stuff, he's like, Mr. Rickles, Mr.
Rickles.
Mr. Wilson was doing his garden. It's like, okay, dude, he's your neighbor. Like, can we talk about other stuff? I'd rather you talk about bugs right now.
But yeah, go ahead. When he was climbing the ladder, go ahead.
Oh, dude, then the kid goes, hey, mister, hurry up. And he looks back at me. He's like, shut up, kid. And what does he say to himself? He goes, I'm just going to do a little swan dive. Just a little swan dive. And somehow he like...
His little shuffle to get to the end.
That's so funny.
Were you expecting what happened to happen? Like, were you thinking something else?
No, but I was not thinking that it was going to be successful. I was thinking it was going to be a terrible, like, belly flop.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't, like, a great dive. But one thing I thought it was really cool, and I thought they were going to hype it up a little bit more instead of him going right into the ambulance. I thought it was going to be him, like he's the winner of it. Because everybody went nuts for his dive. They didn't really go nuts for George Kennedy's dive,
But I didn't expect him to do the old ham and cheese or whatever when you land on the bounce off, whatever like that. That was funny. Like I didn't expect that. I thought it'd be a pure belly flop.
Nope.
How about the bruise he got from that? Like that seemed a little aggressive.
Yeah, it didn't match with the fall or the hit or anything. Yeah,
but again, even at his age, I mean, he was a high dive. He would have broke ribs.
Oh
like,
yeah,
he would have, So. Yeah.
Or like an ass bone or something.
Why are they throwing Dennis in the ambulance? Where was Betty White?
Well,
why is he in there? And why did the ambulance driver know him? The ambulance driver knows him.
Well, if you remember George Kennedy foreshadows that earlier in the he's like, maybe you can ride in an ambulance. But she's like, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, but still, first of all, anywhere Dennis goes, someone's getting hurt. So that's why he probably knows. So the ambulance has probably come many times.
Follows him around.
Why wasn't Betty White in the ambulance? Like, did she know that what just happened? Like, again, she's clueless the whole movie.
She has nothing going on.
She probably dozed off, yeah.
So they thought it was a great idea to send the kid who's 9 years old, who basically his parents let him go wherever he wants. Or not even 9. I think he's like 7. Like, he's not even 9.
Yeah, he's 7. No, yeah, he's not 9. He's 7 years old.
So
he's seven and a half. 7.5.
He's in an ambulance with his neighbor, like his old man neighbor, a 7-year-old. Yeah,
Betty White's giving dating advice to Margaret while that's going on.
Yeah.
But they were sitting right by the pool. She had to have seen the whole thing happen.
Yeah, unbelievable. She wanted to cash in the insurance policy. Maybe she's like, Dennis, let's go in there, get his heart rate up.
You know what? You might be onto something.
He's not a good swimmer.
He's not a good swimmer. Honey, don't go. I'm going to stop you. And she's like,
to do it live. We know that Mr. Wilson's going to try afterwards and probably break the phone. So make sure
Dude, she's having an affair with George Kennedy. That's why she wants George Kennedy. Like, she's fine with, like...
And she says a lot of things. He's a swell guy. He's a great guy. Like, she says a lot of... You know what? You might be onto something.
She's dropping some hints.
Maybe, like, moving into the house, she really was going to move in with the George Kennedy, once Don Rickles left.
Once
ex-husband, what?
Okay.
That's a good Lifetime version of this. Not Lifetime, but Investigator ID.
ID, yeah. True
oh
TV.
my gosh. Jeez. So now Mr. Wilson's at home. He has his appointment with the professor and the other professor that ends up coming to the door. We see Carrot Top in brown face.
And it was like the worst makeup. Like it was like literally like if someone was gonna do that, for whatever reason, they just took a shoe polish and just went over their face. Like it was still slippery. Like it still looked like it was just made. And like we said before, like you could have done anything. Like that probably is the most offensive thing you can do in a movie like this. Because You're gonna tell me some kids that are watching this movie, they might say that looks pretty funny. Let me try.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was
Get
really
a
weird.
Russian doctor. Like there's so many
Anything.
other
Just put an
choices.
accent. Just have him wear a Russian hat.
Australian
And,
accent,
Yes.
could have
Anything, dude.
anything.
No, it was
It was
it's
weird.
like
It was weird.
It's like you watched like Johnny Quest before. It's trying to like
Oh my god.
And his accent is the accent he uses is like an accent that someone's making fun of someone in that nationality.
No. And the accent isn't good when he's doing it.
That's what I'm saying.
And then later when he does the callback, he does it like really good. And I'm like, that's even worse. Like
That's what
when
I
you're
mean.
actually in that
It's like,
outfit. Yeah.
If you're asking your friends, let's say you do this accent, that's what the accent sounds like.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
it was okay.
And then they're running tests on Mr. Wilson, and it's like it looks like it's like he is Fear and Loathing. He just like ate a bunch of mushrooms, and he's just like seeing all this weird shit. I'm like, is he seeing this right now? Like, why are we seeing this exam?
Why is he
look
like
something?
them?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, he's an inventor. He's not a doctor. He's an inventor. Yet they're doing doctor tests on him. Like, doesn't he realize that he's an inventor? He shouldn't be doing these tests, with all this hookup and everything else. Like that seemed kind of, first of all, Mr. Wilson seemed very gullible, obviously, in everything.
Way too gullible. And the fact that they didn't bring in the whole thing, they're going to get him to have this root. If you have like this tea 3 times a day for, I forgot what it was. It wasn't even that long, like a week or 2, you'll feel better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'll feel younger. And then it's like, they do it out of the car. It's in like a weird, like jar.
Yeah, it's like a case with like a lock, like a
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's locked. Yeah. It's in a
lock.
plastic, like plexiglass thing with a lock on it.
But wouldn't you? So clearly, it's a very common route that they have. So why wouldn't they kind of fix it up a little bit, paint it, or do something to make it not look like every other route that's out there? Because clearly, it's a very simple route that happens to come into play in a little bit.
Dennis finds it. Oh yeah. You know what? I found one of those too. And then Mr. Wilson should be kissing this kid's feet.
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Like,
oh my, you just saved me $10,000, right? It was like
$10,000.
$10,000.
and he just takes it. He's like, yeah, cool.
And now think about the balls on these guys. Like, okay, their plan failed big time, right? They really had this guy walk away and try it somewhere else.
Right.
And they're still adamant and going back to him, after like that's ballsy. I mean, what, a new costume? That's going to, I mean, clearly it worked, but that's a ballsy move. And the fact that they've never gotten caught before, because they mentioned that later on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why take that risk? I mean, so.
They're slipping. They're slipping.
And Dennis likes to collect poison ivy because the professor finds the poison ivy. And when he comes out of the doctor's office, when Carrot Top mentions to him, hey, this whole place, because he goes, if I find out who that kid is, okay, we clearly know it's the neighbor. We saw him walk from next door. You saw him walk from next door. So you know who the kid is. And then Carrot Top's, what do you mean? Everybody here knows him. His name's Dennis Mitchell. And goes through his whole biography. It's like, you call yourself a professor and you didn't know that, hey, this kid's next door. Very easy to figure this out.
I mean, he's not really a professor.
He's not. Yeah.
No, he's not.
So, I mean, he can call himself a professor, but he's not really.
Yeah. Mr. Wilson has this poop looking tea. He's drinking it and it looks gross. And then you get really playful music after this. He's like, I'm going to pressure wash the car. And he's feeling good, moving good.
Talk about a placebo. I mean, he literally drank a weedy root, and he's acting like he feels great. He said, all his injuries are fine, and he just got so much energy.
If this was a different movie, he'd be like, yo, Betty, we're going upstairs right now. Let's.
He got excited when the professor later on said that we can also do it on your wife to make her look younger.
Remember, the thing on the head. The head thing that would somehow make your whole entire body look good.
You see his eyes light up like he got excited about that. So, I think there's definitely something, the little spark there that he's been trying to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, my God.
Turn that frown upside down.
So Margaret takes the advice of Betty White. So she shows up at the clubhouse with a batch of
my God. These kids are idiots.
Why is everybody in this movie so dumb? Like, I mean,
I know.
everybody. Like,
My
these
last
kids,
note. My last
Yeah.
note is literally like everyone in this movie is a fucking idiot.
They are. I don't think there was one person that wasn't just at some point an idiot. I mean, from Betty White not knowing what's right underneath her nose constantly, who, actually the smartest kid is probably Dennis. I mean, the things
Probably,
he's
yeah.
able to do. But I mean, like, when she said she's going to bring over some bugs, I didn't expect what she brought over. I really thought
Yeah.
she's might find some bugs and whatever and show them. Like, this is the worst display of trying to fool someone, and they got fooled so easily.
So easy.
Yeah. And the worst part was, obviously, the first one was like something to clean the dishes with that looked like, I don't know what
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was like
Second
like a
one was a turtle, and I'm
wires.
like, that's pretty cool. Why didn't? And then the last one, I'm like, they would think that's so cool, a crab. Like, instead of saying, "Oh, this like crazy spider," I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
It's a crab. That is cool." Again,
She
that
was
thing in
onto
a
it right
very
away,
tiny
though.
jar.
Yeah.
She's like, whoa. Like a spider with like claws.
She's jealous at this point, so she's trying to find any hiccup in what she's doing. But the dog, like they,
Oh my!
I mean, how weird is
God.
that? Like
The dog that looked like a spider? That dog?
and they believed
You mean
it. That's
The spider, the spider that barked. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God. That chases the cat. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it literally was a Halloween costume on a dog, and these kids are freaking out that it's a big spider. So
I'm gonna
stupid.
say it
And it
again.
worked for Margaret
PETA had a
because she
field day
gets
with
to
this
walk
movie.
home. No,
Oh.
dude, PETA was. Oof.
They're like, what
But yeah,
the hell
no,
are you guys
it worked
thinking?
because she goes, "I'll take you I need help bringing these animal homes," and he's like, "Oh, I'll help you," and it's like, "All right, it's working."
And
Worked.
she's very aggressive, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
She
I
knows
mean,
what
like,
she wants.
the movie. She really but Dennis is going along with a lot of this. I mean, he has a picnic with her later on, and it's. I mean, it's definitely weird. To see how aggressive she is because she loves this kid.
Happy wife, happy life.
She says, "When I think of our future, I see you as a lawyer sometimes. Then other times, I see you as a doctor. like,
Schnookums.
I see you as a convict, an arsonist." Those are the words that describe Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
So then at this part, like Mr. Mitchell, this is where he makes a dig about Grandpa when he's talking to Susan from Seinfeld, and Grandpa shows up and he's disheveled and he's like already over Dennis. And I wrote, "It's a week?" Question mark? Because
He's got
really?
leaves in his hair. He's got leaves in
Yeah.
his hair.
Yeah.
So wait, is this before or after they go? They went in the tent.
This
They
is
came-
before because he goes,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I agree. I already said I would do it. And they're like, you
Okay.
don't have to sleep with him in the yard.
Okay. All right. So, but this is like the tent is the camping is like coming right now, right?
It's
Or do we miss-
right after this. And the next scene after this. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Yep. Yeah. Because so
Okay.
then they do the sleepover. And then that's when Mr. Wilson sees him get up. And he's like,
Yep.
"Argh."
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the tent situation. First of all, that is the worst tent. It was a typical tent that was like put up with like sticks and a sheet. Because there was no closure in the back or the
That's
front.
like the Boy Scout tent. That's like the
That's
old
what I'm
saying.
Yeah.
And it was the smallest tent possible. And George Papard is a big guy.
Yeah.
So like,
Wait,
he
did you just
shouldn't
call him
have-
George Papard?
Is that his name? What's his name?
George Kennedy.
Oh, George Kennedy. Who's George Papard? That's another actor.
No.
I don't-
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the dad on a show, dude.
No,
Great
I'm thinking-
Great Papon.
no, it's another
George
actor somewhere.
Papard.
I'm almost positive. I could be wrong.
Breakfast at Tiffany's? And the A-Team?
Really? Where's he looking?
Oh, the A-Team guy? That's
It's
who you
Steve.
remember?
It's white hair
Yeah. White guys, white hair.
and St. George. That's,
That,
but George Kennedy. I mean, that tent wasn't even a tent. It was like
No.
I think it was two
he
sticks
wasn't
and a
fitting
sheet.
in it. His feet were hanging out.
It was the
And there's a
smallest
dog.
tent possible. Like awful.
Yeah.
Like why would you want to
Yeah.
do that? And he lets Dennis walk around. Wasn't he like at the Grand Canyon or something? Like wasn't it the Grand Canyon?
No, that's
I
the end of the movie.
That's the end.
Okay,
That's
okay,
the end. Of it.
okay. All right, we're not there yet.
Wait, I know the movie's an hour. You thought that part was coming already? That's the end of the movie. Ay. So
All right.
then this is at the same time when they wake up from the camping is when Brown-faced Carrot Top and the professor show up again. And they have the new invention because obviously they got thwarted because Dennis knew where the route was. Oh, there's a ton of them by the bridge. So they have this new friggin' machine that, again, so ridiculous. You could have made a bike. You could use a bike helmet and put lights on it and be like, this is the invention. You know, they have this ginormous thing.
Did they already have that, or did they just make that because they realized
they made it? Oh, no, they made it. That was the next scam because they were like, oh, we'll be back.
Okay, well, that's pretty creative if they made it within a day. I mean, like that.
But did they? Did they make that in a day?
They had to have.
I guess they have nothing
so,
better to do.
It's ridiculous, you know. And the fact that and Betty White saw, didn't she see it started wheeling up? Like that was the first time I think she saw them.
She looked out of the window because he said, "Oh, it's salesmen. I'll get rid of them."
Yeah,
because he had the giant. They had it like they had it hitched to the back of like a convertible kind of car, like a nice car.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like a sheet.
Dude.
Yeah,
unbelievable. But yeah, they used like the old magician trick because I guess the professor was a magician, so it makes the old plant look. Yeah, and why would you think? It works on a plant. It'll work on a human. Same thing.
Like no fear, like that. I would be a little, weirded out by that. That's what he said. We can also do it on your wife.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this thing that is only like it can cover the plant. It's not big enough to cover your body. It's not a pod like in The Fly. So you know what's going to happen? Your head's going to be young, and the rest of your body's going to be old. It's going to be very young Don Rickles on this Hitchcock belly.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my God, man. So yeah, so how about Dennis is already, he knows his grandpa's kind of mad at him at this point. So he goes to why is he trying to throw the garbage like that?
Okay.
There's no can
the
trash.
trash.
Wait,
and it goes all over the car.
The bigger question is, what was in that garbage? Because it looked like it was a mutilated body. Like
it was sloppy Joe.
It was guts. Like it was like there was no paper in there. There were no boxes. There were no cups. There was nothing but guts all over the place. That's what he was wiping down. So
it was like cooked chopped
meat.
Yeah, it was
a human
gross.
body. Listen, it's Dennis the Menace. I mean, this kid is probably like a young Dexter. And he probably killed a couple of people and threw it, chopped them up and threw it in the bag.
Dexter origin story.
That's
they should have done a Dennis the Menace versus Problem Child.
This is basically it. Yeah. I mean, that would, you know what? That would have been great. I think that would have been a good crossover.
That'll be the next, Freddy versus Jason or.
What if it was like they're in school together and Chucky shows up?
And then Damien shows up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah. So Dennis, a 7-year-old, is going to ask to wear a pressure wash. But Carrot Top and the professor are like, just take it, whatever.
Which
so he goes,
it was sitting right there.
Yeah,
like they could have it right away. They knew exactly what he was looking for, and it was sitting right there, and Carrot Top hands it away.
Yeah. Gives it to a child.
Where's Mr. Wilson at this time?
He's going to get his checkbook. He's getting ready to write check.
He left those guys in the garage with all that stuff and, trusting these guys. Okay.
Don't trust him.
Very trusting.
He's at this point. He was like,
that's
they
true.
were to sell me this thing for $10,000 that a kid found near a bridge.
Yeah.
Right there, that's a red flag. I'd be like, all right. Well, that's weird. Something that a kid can find that's local. You should have got some plant go to the farmer's market. Go to an Asian supermarket. You go in the back. There's some vegetables and stuff that you never see in like a normal ShopRite or something.
Right.
No, they didn't do that. Let's grab a root that's from that. It's like these guys are con men and they're supposed to be so great. Like George Wendt mentions at the end. They suck. They're lazy.
Awful. They're awful.
So they're such idiots.
They're making everything up on the fly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But they have great costumes. The costumes are the key to everything. They
spend more money on the costumes. They're the red.
It looks, they're outside of the first one. The rest look like Halloween costumes.
The hazmat suits,
the fake mustache or whatever. Like the first one was great. That was like a high tech costume. Everything after that, the fat suit, like it looks ridiculous. Like everything was just so dumb.
Maybe they're just hoping that works, and then they're good. The most expensive mask that usually works the first time. The beetroot. All right, we have to use the brown face, whatever. And it's like, all right, fine, this works. We're good. No, they have to buy all these silly costumes. He even reuses the teeth from the old man gag at the thing later in the movie.
Oh, the teeth.
But anyway, like this kid is using a pressure washer instead of like just grabbing the trash. So he's going to pressure wash the trash off the car onto the ground and then think, oh, I'm done. He could have just picked everything off. No, and then he's like, oh, I need all the soap. He grabs like the dad put the cotton candy mix.
Okay.
Is that cotton candy's made like that?
But wait a second.
That's
wait,
gross.
yeah, I mean, it's why. Yeah, it was literally the same color, the same like thickness as the soap.
Well,
So why would it? Yeah, how safe is that when you have kids probably looking for cotton candy or looking for like things in their closet and they grab soap by accident? Like, yeah, that's kind of bad parenting.
but it was in a
Terrible
thing marked
parenting.
soap, right? The container that he got it from was marked soap.
No. The
No,
one that
it
was
was
marked
next to the cotton
soap
candy.
Oh.
One
was
marked
only
soap,
like,
correct.
yeah, it was only like a quarter, and he's like,
Right.
oh, I want to
that's
really
what-
clean it.
never
So he
mind.
grabbed
That's
that
when-
full one that's had
Yeah.
cotton candy on it.
Is
That's
that
when
how-
Rickles. That's when Rickles is washing his car. Never mind.
Right. So now is cotton candy liquid like that? Is that how they
I
make
hope
it?
not.
I
I
don't
think
know.
I'll
It
eat it
seemed
again.
like it. I
I
don't
thought-
think like
It's usually
Yeah, I
made
don't
in
know.
like a big like pot that's going. I don't
it
know.
is, but I mean like, but I don't know.
'Cause
Like, is it like
it's
liquidy?
sugar, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
sugar.
I wonder what kind of form it is when you're making it. Like I've seen people make it. I just forgot. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it looks like
gross. I
little.
hope it doesn't come in a
Yeah.
tub like that, but maybe
would
maybe
make
it does.
that much. Would it make as much as he made?
Oh my
No,
God.
it would not
The
make it a
entire
winter pink
the
wonderland.
street. Oh my gosh, the entire street was covered. Like
Yeah.
Both yards fully covered like a snowstorm happened, like a blizzard. No. And the professor, I mentioned this before, like their old gag was like, no, Mr. Wilson, we're not going to charge you anything. Nothing at all. Just a security deposit. Write us a check. We're not going to cash it. It's like, oh my God, dude.
yeah, and it's only $15,000. That's okay.
Yeah.
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 It's like,
Don't worry, we're not gonna
it's
cash it.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then it's funny at this point, like we see Dennis start spraying it and we see some damage. And then we cut back and it's like, oh my God, it's everywhere. The dog's eating it. And he's like, everybody, it's fine. And this is like the only time we read earlier, the first time that Dennis has ever been like grounded.
And think about it. All he did was spray cotton candy. Now he's grounded. Mr. Wilson almost died going down his stairs. Mr.
Sure.
Wilson probably almost
He
died.
was murdered a
multiple times.
man.
He not grounded, but because she sprayed cotton candy. That was the topper. That was the big thing that gets him in trouble. Like, how ridiculous is that? Like,
That is pretty ridiculous. And then Mr. Mitchell offers, here, guys, okay? You don't want to live here anymore. You sell your house to Grandpa, so you have more room. You're not too close to Dennis. You live next door. And they're like, okay. That was it.
and he's making that decision for them. Like,
yeah.
he's basically saying, why
Yeah.
don't you guys, like, he's kicking them out. Like, you guys leave, and, we'll buy that.
What was sillier, the fact that Mr. Mitchell mentioned that scenario and it worked? Or later in the movie, Dennis repeats the same scenario but backwards, saying, you don't really want to move. You really don't want to live here. Okay. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that was the
That
two
works.
things of conflict in this movie. All right, fine.
They're
You
like,
know what? Little
you know,
kid, he gets
we-
it.
we don't. Yeah. Yeah, Dennis gets it. He's the smartest one in the movie.
Yeah.
And talking about, like, the characters, like you mentioned Margaret, how she dresses old school. The other person who dressed really old school, even though, like, Betty White does, that to me, like, it kind of makes sense
She's
because
old.
she's older.
It's okay.
But, like,
Right.
but Susan, like, Mrs.
Oh,
Mitchell,
yeah.
she dresses like the mom exactly from, like, the comic strip.
Well, I was going to say, they definitely tried to go the comic route in a lot of this.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
dad
like the
looked
looks.
good. Like, that was good.
Yeah.
He was decent
he
in
looked-
this movie.
He looked fake. Like, he looked like a comic,
Yeah.
yeah. So, no.
The pipe?
Yeah.
Like, he put the pipe in after he spoke, like, every time.
Was
Oh,
it just me,
ridiculous.
or did,
Okay, cool.
did the dad look like a young Bruce Campbell?
Yes, dude. I was
I-
trying to think of who he looked like. He did.
I was like,
kinda look
no,
like Bruce
that can't
Campbell.
be. That can't be Bruce Campbell. But no, it wasn't.
Well, do you remember the dad from the '94 Walter Matthau one? That guy was really good too. He was like one of those character actors that was in a ton of stuff. He was really good in that movie. I forgot who the mom was. I feel like, oh no, was it Leah Thompson? Was she
I
the
don't
mom?
remember the movie at all.
I forget.
I'm not even sure I saw it. How about that?
Dude, I'm telling you, after we're done, I'm going to send you the scene that
All right.
me and Nick kind of watch as a kid when it's like, come on, guys, let's watch this
Uh.
family movie. Dude, when he's keeping on the kids at the playground, it's
Christopher
weird.
Lloyd?
When he's eating an
Yeah.
apple with a knife. We talked about this in the friggin'
In the
a year ago on this day for the 300 Rise of the Empire review. I mentioned the same thing to you.
Oh, okay.
Like, yes, because the girl, Eva Green, hottie Eva Green,
Yeah.
she's like eating with an apple with a knife.
yeah.
Same thing in that movie. He's eating with like a shitty Swiss Army knife. He's skinning the apple and having bites, watching children on a playground.
He's
Dirty,
done.
He's
You're
got
totally-
that look.
You're totally right.
It's always creepy.
Leah Thompson was the mom.
Leah Thompson, yeah. And you know who
God,
else was in
nailed it.
that? You know who else was in that? Natasha Lyonne.
Species? The one from Species?
No,
About Poker
Or-
Face.
from Poker
Oh,
Face and
you were in the
Orange
show.
is the New
What
Black.
do you mean? You should know
I
this.
forgot. I forgot. Well, the show didn't come out yet, so
We can't talk about it.
I can't talk about it.
But no. Oh, who was she in that? Who was she in that?
She played Polly. I don't know who Polly is, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh my God, no, she couldn't have been she couldn't have been the girl, the redhead girl. Oh no, that's Margaret. Holly Dennis really?
No idea, but
Oh yeah. Oh no, she looks older. Wow, she looks like a druggie. She looks well. That's
Oh, you're
what
talking
she
about now?
looks
What?
like.
no, in
Somebody
the Dennis. In
She was
Dennis the
12.
Menace?
She was like 12.
Wait, she looked
Wow.
like a drug addict in Dennis the Menace?
Yeah, if you look at the picture, she's wearing a
How old
short
was she?
sleeve.
Like 10?
Okay, first of all,
12.
she looks like a druggie in everything she's been in. So
Well, I
let's
mean-
be honest. I mean,
Well, I think she was. There's a famous story of
She was. No,
Michael.
she was.
Yeah.
like I said,
yeah,
I
it-
saw her in person. Don't
yeah.
forget. And first of all, she's tiny. Like she's a small woman, but she's like very drawn. Like her. Like yeah. So
She
Oh,
is
wow.
pretty cool. She is like a cartoon character. Like I love the first season. Not to go too far off topic. Russian the Roulette first
Oh, I
season
saw- yeah.
amazing. Second season, I feel like she had more creative control, and it was terrible.
well, you know, it's to me, it's weird about it. She literally plays the same role in everything she does.
Oh, dude,
but it fits.
American. Think way back too, like American Pie, Slums of Beverly Hills. She's
Slums
always
of
like, "Hey, how you doing?"
The same-
Like she has the
everything.
same voice.
It really
She
is. It's the same.
dude. You know her dream
She's
role that she was
the
born
same
to
thing.
play was the 70s, 80s agent with the
Yep.
cigarette hanging with the
Hey,
big long hair. Like,
Don't
"Hey,
think she'll be
Toots, you're
playing
gonna
it when
be a
she's older.
star."
But literally, like, tell me a role that she really expanded. Like, she's not a great actress. I mean, she plays herself. Really, I bet you she
Yeah.
really talks like that. But
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh, totally.
the character that she does. So you know, like again, Poker Face is exactly what it is. I mean, that's her.
She was
you know.
she was on an episode of How Did This Get Made, and she sounds exactly. I mean,
Oh.
it's
Yeah.
to a T.
Ooh, I'm trying to think which one it was. She was good on it too. I feel like she was super into it.
Yeah, I forget
I
the
li-
episode.
She's good. But
Okay.
so now Dennis. Oh yeah, this is when Mr. Wilson's like they're getting ready to sell the house. They put the sign out, which he's put
You
out
see-
earlier
you
in
see,
the movie.
This is where Dennis says he's my best friend. It was like a
Yeah.
tender moment.
Very
Well, this is
sentimental.
right after. Yeah. He does say he's my best friend, but that's when we get the silliest thing when he's like, "No, Dennis." When Mr. Mitchell's talking to him, "No, Dennis, you can't go over there." But Dad, no, Dennis, you can't. But what if Mr. Wilson needs help? And it's like, but if he needs help, he can call somebody. It's like, what if Mr. Wilson's hanging and he's by one finger, like this whole silly thing? Okay, then if that happens, then you can do it. And then,
I wonder if that was going to happen at the end of the movie. It's- you know,
but yeah,
yeah,
best
I mean-
friend, dude. That was like a really wholesome moment.
Uh,
And that's when you, for a split second, you saw like wow, this is like, I kind of care about this kid. And then he like toughens up, like, no, we got to get the F out of here.
Yes.
I want to survive.
At this point, I'm thinking, okay, so they basically just sold the house on a spot. You know, like it was like such a random thing. Where are they moving to? Because there's no
Retirement
plan-
community.
that
Oh, no, but
retirement
he-
home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Oh, that
already has
was-
it picked out.
okay.
He never mentioned it again, but it had the high walls. And
Mhm.
that's all he cared about.
Keeping
You're right,
ki-
you're right.
keeping kids out.
So
Yeah. Keep the
Dennis, we
kids
saw
out.
we saw a piece of Dennis's room. Like we saw a scene in Dennis's bedroom. He had a weird poster on there. I don't know if you noticed. It
Ooh.
was a
The
banana
I did not.
Banana, yeah, the
It-
banana.
with stars.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Banana with stars like all around. Like what was the meaning of that? Like
I was like, who did your artwork? Andy Warhol?
I mean, like I'm thinking, like, all right, we're seeing his room. There's got to be something weird in this room. So I'm like really looking for like a background for something, and that poster
Well,
led you store too. It was
Also,
like,
too, I don't know if you noticed. There's even smaller. There's behind him when he's talking to his dad. There's the toot book.
the
like,
what? The
the-
toot?
Toot like
Like
fart.
pooping? Oh, a farty?
It's the toot book, and it was like a
Oh
kid's
my
book,
gosh.
and I was like, it's like everybody poops.
But but he's kind of old for that. Like I love
Yeah.
when they try to, when they're setting up like a kid's room and they think, like, all right, kids, this is what kids are gonna have in their room. What kid's gonna have a banana on their wall? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a cartoon, you're gonna have a video game, a banana. I mean, it's just so funny. Like, these are the things that they thought would be a great idea to put on, in that scene.
That would have been
Yeah,
a good
this-
scene part to like put those more comic strips. You could add what's his name, the kid and the tiger. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, Calvin and
Calvin
Hobbes. Yeah.
Hobbes. Could have had like a reference there. Like that would have been really cool if they were mindful of that and putting in like every scene,
but-
just a little bit.
Is that the same thing as music? Like, do you need copyrights to show that in a movie?
Oh, I guess maybe they're friends with Charles Schultz, because they were able
What,
to
it's
use the
all
Charlie Brown
com-
shirt.
People are all like together and like all work together.
They hold each other's hands. Comics.
They're all like in a specific club, the comic guys. Like they all know each other. They're all they have a group chat. The guy
A real
that
dying breed.
does Blondie and the guy that does
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beetle Bailey. When I think about like
Beetle
just
Bailey.
talk about like a whole different generation of kids that there
Wow.
used to be a time
You're not
when you
gonna
had a
see-
newspaper
Oh.
and it was like it's
tearing
crazy.
through
Like me,
the comics.
yeah,
Ugh.
dude. Like me and Nick even are like I work with people that are even that much younger than me, maybe like 30, 32, a couple of them. And they have no reference to that.
I
Like
know.
me and
Isn't
Nick
that
would
crazy?
get a paper when you walked into
Oh.
school, you grab like a Star Ledger, like a local paper, you look at all the box scores, I'd be able to see like trades in baseball
yeah.
that I might have missed on like Baseball Tonight and the comics, and it's like that's like done, dude.
Well,
No,
it sucks.
When my father used to go to the store to bring home the Sunday paper, the huge stack that was a
Ugh.
huge paper, like Daily News or whatever.
The Star
the-
Ledger. Yeah.
So right there, like in color, like during the week, there, in black and white,
My
But
parents still wrap my Christmas presents with the comics with the comic pages.
Really?
Yeah, they wrap them. Yeah, they wrap my
What,
presents.
they still
That's
have
really
comics.
cool.
There's still comics
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they're still.
they still make them.
Oh, they're
sure.
old school. They still get the Star Ledger every Sunday.
I didn't even know they still had newspapers anymore.
It's a dying business.
Dude, they're expensive. I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to get like the Daily News. It's like really crazy.
Is
Really?
It's delivered. Yeah.
It used to be like $1.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even that's expensive when you think about it. Like
Ugh.
a buck? Like back in the day for a newspaper, we're going to read for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it got comics.
That's true.
Yeah,
So,
comics.
that's
you
a
know,
comic.
It's worth it. And
Comics.
the coupons, it has the coupons in there. You're saving
is
that
true.
way. So
Comics of the sports
Saving, yeah.
pages.
Manufacturer coupons, you go to Double Coupon Tuesday, and you're good. You're like the Coupon Clipper shows when the women go up there and they're like,
oh my
lady,
gosh.
you own the store now.
Was there anything worse than the old woman who had about 500 coupons
Oh.
that you have to wait behind as
You were
they
right
get
behind
scanned
her?
each
Yeah.
one?
My dad was
Yeah.
that old woman, but not that crazy. Like he wasn't to the point, but he had a little thing for a guy that was like such a like tough guy.
So he had like
Garbage
a
man, he had,
envelope,
like,
like, yeah, out his
Get an
coupon.
envelope in alphabetical order. He would do it at the store. I'd be like, dude, you know what? He'd be like, oh, I got a good coupon. Great
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, that's awesome.
So now we get,
Wow.
so he sells the house to the grandpa. Somehow the house sale happens. Like, we don't even know, does grandpa have that much money? Because we get to the point earlier in the movie that we were mentioning, he sold the Winnebago. He must have needed that money. Now
They
he has
didn't
money
even
to
discuss
buy
the
a house.
price. They
Right.
didn't even discuss the price.
Yeah.
How do they know they can afford it? Yeah, we're gonna.
And-
you move out, we'll
yeah.
buy the house. Okay. Well, do you even know how much it is?
Right.
That doesn't matter.
And no inspection. So that's the dumbest part about the final plot of the movie. An inspection has to happen for a house to be sold. So they're telling us that Ryan Doyle and Murray, Carrot Top, show up. Oh, you have to have this inspection. Wouldn't he be like, oh no, I had that already. I sold the house
Yeah.
already. And then they're done. And then they're on to the next
Yeah.
person.
Well,
You know, it's like, oh wait, what?
Well, I love how he goes. That's Grandpa's problem. Here's
Yeah,
your-
Yeah, everything. They're hammering the walls. Oh, this isn't good. Breaking everything.
It was so cartoony, this whole scene with them, like just basically breaking the house down. Like they
Yeah, yeah.
destroyed the house. Like
I said in my notes, I was like, Carrot Top and Brian Doyle Murray destroy the house more than Dennis ever did.
oh, they were
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were pulling pipes apart, like gas lines. I mean, like they were like the house is probably gonna either crumble or explode at some point because of all the damage they were doing.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got termites. I don't see no termites. All right, they're invisible mites. They're even worse. You can't see them.
Yeah.
So stupid. So
Yeah.
stupid.
But during this moment, he while they're doing all the work and we get the back and forth, the door, he's upstairs in the attic and he's looking at a photo and he's having flashbacks. And then we get the flashbacks. It's pretty funny
Oh my God.
of him walking up his own attic stairs to, again, a kid that should be
Multiple
in his own
times.
house.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you fall for that?
You think after the first time you'd be a
No,
little
I
bit
don't think
more
he
mindful
fell
when you
for
walk
it.
up.
He just said, "Oh, honey, I gotta get some in the attic," and this kid's in there shooting hockey pucks.
But
And-
understand something. If the first time, fine, a fluke. Second time, all right, I'm a little weary about it. But okay. After that point,
I'd
you're
be
looking
like-
around a corner like this when you're walking up. You're not
Yeah.
just walking up. I mean, every single one. What, it was like 5 of them? It was the
Yeah.
hockey puck. It was the.
I would get
bubble.
a periscope to look up the
Something,
stairs before I
like
go
it-
up and just be like,
Or just lock the freaking door, or tell your wife, "Hey, Betty White, I know I told you to make
That's
me a
true.
Grand Slam breakfast,
hell
but
is-
hey, put eyes on a swivel, head on a swivel, baby, because we're getting a kid that keeps sneaking in our
how
house."
the hell does he keep how does he get up into his
Yeah.
attic?
Kid's parents that your kid is breaking into my house and basically hurting me every time I go to my attic. I mean,
Yeah.
the marble alone could cause major damage hitting you in the head with a slingshot.
Yeah.
And his aim is
Unreal.
ridiculous. Like, you sign this kid up. I mean, everything was a direct hit on
Dart
everything.
and slingshot.
You know, the only thing they was missing was a bowling ball and pins.
yeah.
That's-
or a Red Ryder BB gun.
I mean, that's
You shot Mr. Wilson's eye out.
Oh my god, dude. So again, we talked about this one earlier, but it's what happened now was when they're having their date and they're talking about marriage and careers. And this is when they want to get her with a fake butt. Whoa, we have to give her a real bug. And I'm like, she's really smart. She's like, I think IQ of a 4th grader. And she's only in 1st grade.
Yep.
And she falls for a dog wearing a costume. And
well,
fake
first of all,
antlers.
the whole disguises by these kids, right?
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you the creative one was the 2 toilet paper rolls that they made binoculars they put together.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's a good kid thing to do. I'm surprised. I've never heard of that, but I think it's pretty funny. The what was the walking bush?
The walking bush.
That was made
Oh,
out
that
of
was a really good costume.
his head poking out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
By the way, we didn't mention this before. Did you see the streets that he lived on? He lives
Oh,
on
the names I did not. What is it?
Maple and Elm Street. It pans down, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, Elm Street?
I wonder
That's
if that is a comic throwback, or does that allude
A
to the
Freddy
bathtub
Krueger?
scene from the beginning?
Oh,
That is like the Freddy Krueger scene.
You know what? It
oh
would have been
yeah.
it would
With
have
the
been
ha- the
funny if
hand?
they had a comic book name like Dagwood
Yeah.
from Blondie, like Dagwood Street
yeah.
or something like that. Like, they should have done something like that. I think
But I
that,
just-
again.
Think that it's a nightmare for Mr. Wilson to live on this street. So that's
Well, maybe
I
the
don't know,
young
I just-
Krueger. Maybe Dennis is a young Freddy
That's
Krueger.
the origin story.
That's the origin story.
It burns down his house, and
He's
Oh
definitely a
man.
Dexter. I mean, if you want to talk about a young Dexter, I mean that's this kid.
God, so when
he has his own code.
so all the kids and the animals, when she runs, because the cat runs into the house, and they all run upstairs, and Mr. Wilson gets knocked out of the window.
By
So
the
he's
way,
having these terrible memories of getting knocked down the stairs. Now he's sitting by the window. He gets knocked out the window.
what's up with that one kid's hair? Did we talk about this? Where it's shaved all in the back and the
Yeah, there's
sides,
something
and then
going
the
on with
front
him, yeah.
has the. I'm like, I have never seen that before in my life.
Maybe
He's got bad parents.
Bad parents. He wasn't a good actor.
He
The
lo-
kid was
he-
like.
He looked like
wasn't
he
good.
was something out of Death Wish 4 or something, 3 or something, like one of
Oh,
the
good
gang
one.
members.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Death was straight. Yeah.
Yeah, with the gang member. I'm like, because it was so funky looking. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
But okay, so Mr. Wilson falls out of the window.
Oh yeah, the window,
how
yeah.
is he again? That was worse than falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
Again, and he's still alive.
And Dennis is not doing anything until it
No.
goes to the one finger. He's just watching.
You know what? Tell you, I mean, this punishment would have worked for Dennis because he takes it serious. Like he almost stepped
he
over the line.
listened to everything. Yeah,
He didn't do it. Like he could have went in there, but he listened and he waited for his opportunity. I like how the bad guys were panicking the minute they saw Dennis.
I know they did it so many times, like very sillily. Like when they gave him the pressure washer, like get this kid out of here, and they closed the garage door, or when they brought the thing and they closed it real quick. But yeah, you're right. They're like already panicking. And then when they're running, I'm like, why are they running? They're contractors.
The minute he got there, they're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna foil our plans, and I think that's they were afraid of.
And at this point, like Mr. Wilson like didn't know that they were bad. All he said was, "Hey, you didn't finish the job," and it's like, okay, why would they run like that? They could have casually gotten in the car, cashed the tech checks, and ran. So I wonder if they cashed any checks at all.
Well, no, they didn't.
No, they don't.
The cop gave them back to them.
Wayne gives them the checks back at the end.
So everyone, that's crazy.
He's like, here's your checks, Mr. Wilson.
They have about 5 checks.
Mm.
What how long were they planning on doing all this construction?
They have at least $50,000 on with them.
Easily. So why, what are they, are they going to, again, talking about going to a casino and just pressing your luck. I mean, they had a lot of money. They should have just walked away. If they were good bandits, they had what they needed and they were pushing their luck.
If this was
whammies,
7,
no whammies. Stop.
If this was 7, they would have died by greed. That's
Yep.
Whammies.
Lucy, everything. Everybody's falling, tripping, running. Yeah, and what's his name? Murray was leaving Carrot Top behind.
He was, yeah.
Professor, wait for me.
What a shot, man! That slingshot.
He
move.
was stuck in the ground, right? In the cement, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the cement. Yeah.
Oh man. So then at this point, this is when he solves the dilemma. Like right after this point is when Dennis is like, you both don't want to switch places anyway. And they're like, all right, fine, we're good. And then that's when you get Mr. Wilson, Martha, we're not moving. And it's like, all right, now we're good.
I think that he fell too many times and hit his head and forgot what a menace Dennis is, because I don't think he really would stay. He literally
Martha's fine with it, but she's like, you're not dead yet, old man.
She's not. He literally just fell out of a window.
He's definitely concussed, yeah.
And now he's like, yeah, you know what? I can live next to this kid. I mean, So I think that because he's old and he hit his head many times, I just think he forgot what Dennis does.
The CTE is finally starting to kick in.
It's kind of like, Mr. Wilson is kind of like Fester, like in Add Family Values when she tries to keep
Fester.
He does.
He does. I mean,
he won't die. He won't die like Fester. Oh my God, dude. Then you always have to have an end scene to really leave the cliffhanger to show you how terrible this kid is. The fact that the grandpa has this huge Winnebago, he doesn't have a wheel, whatever you even call it. You should have one of those in your car, those rubber stoppers.
He has loose rock that he's able to move easily.
He found. Yeah, a kid was able to move. Yeah,
he was able to move it easily. It wasn't even jammed. He literally just walked over and pulled it apart. And again, I know I mentioned this before. Grandpa he's at the Grand Canyon and he takes it out. Yeah, and he's letting this 7-year-old walk around, knowing that this kid's a troublemaker. It's probably the most dangerous place for a 7-year-old. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap. You stay out here alone.
He's asking for it.
Grandparenting.
At one of the biggest tourist attractions in America where people get kidnapped all the time. See ya. Maybe he wants to get rid of them.
That is, you know what? A good place to do it. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's probably wolves out there that might go after him if, because it was at nighttime because they were,
coyotes or something. Yeah.
And then we cut back to them sitting down. It's Martha and Mr. Wilson. She goes, you know what, you should have really went with them. And then they showed on the news, which I don't know where they live, but somehow they're getting Grand Canyon coverage, which it seems like they don't live near the Grand Canyon.
Oh, they look like they don't live anywhere near there.
They live nowhere near it. And it's let's look at this news. And it's him getting airlifted out.
And he was hanging there. It was almost like the way they were taking him out looked like it
Yeah.
was such a dangerous way. Like there was no one holding him. He was just like floating in air. It looked like he was floating.
Just dangling. Yeah.
Just dangling. Yeah.
And the one
man.
thing, again, that's the end of the movie. Like at that point, this is the end. But one thing I do love, and I think movies should do it more. They used to always have it like when you could watch DVDs. That's one thing I would love is if with like Netflix and all these streaming services, like it'd be cool if within the movies you could watch the gag reels or you could watch like behind the scenes stuff. That's the only reason I love DVDs, like the old schools, the Step Brothers, like gag reel. I think of that all the time. How amazing
Cannonball
that
Run.
is for
Cannonball
dude.
Run, yeah.
So many of these movies, but like this one, it was cool at the very end. They threw that in there a little bit. They seemed like they had a lot of fun making this movie.
Wait. After during the credits?
Yeah, like right after the movie, they showed
Oh.
like scenes from the movie. They showed John Rickles just dancing, and he was like laughing. He broke a few times.
I didn't
and
see
I'm like,
any of that.
this is pretty cool.
The
You were
minute
probably
seeing
like,
kids' faces come up, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like I couldn't
Yeah,
turn
those are
it
the
off
first
any
names.
there. That's
but yeah, so we'll go with our guests, our last sequel of the year. Nick, would you recommend this sequel for somebody to watch?
Man, I mean, it's a light-hearted movie. I mean, it's like one of those like if you like slapstick comedy and I mean, really like suspending belief. I mean, you could probably watch it. I mean, but it's only an hour and 10 minutes. I mean, we've recorded for 25 minutes longer than the movie was. So,
Longer than the movie, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'd probably recommend it. I mean, like I said, just to see Betty White, Rickles, Kennedy. I mean, yeah, good.
The triple threat, the triple threat that everybody's always wanted to see. Jamie,
was more
obviously, I know
it
you
was-
don't like this movie. Can you think of anybody else like? I was trying to think the way the cartoon character looks, like with his kind of mustache. He kind of looks like Mr. Spacely from Jetsons.
it
That's
does.
kind of
It's-
who like he looks like. Is there an
I-
actor that you think could nail Mr. Wilson like throughout time?
I mean, I definitely think Walter Matthau has the attitude, grumpy old men,
Yeah.
bad news bears. I mean, I think they got him good. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
The only person shaped like him that I'm thinking of, and I can't think of anyone else, Ed Asner. If you gave him a mustache, like he's the shape of the cartoon guy, but I can't think of anyone else that looks like that. I guess
you know what? Who's the guy for
freaking
what's his,
Danny DeVito. He could be him.
he's too small.
Yeah.
What's the guy? He's what's the? Oh, I'm trying to think of. I think he just died too. He was in Slums of Beverly Hills. The older guy.
Oh,
he's in
Alan
tons of-
Arkin. Oh yeah,
Alan
Alan Arkin. Yeah,
Alan-
dude.
I love Alan Arkin. He's so sarcastic, and I
70s are Alan Arkin. Yeah, no, you know
think he
what?
could've
That's
done
pretty good.
yeah,
Like the in-laws Arkin.
yeah, everything. I mean,
That's
like
a good
so.
shout.
Okay. I mean, I definitely don't think anyone should be seeing this movie. I mean, it's just like a third one. So you know what? There's no reason. I mean, see the first one, the original, but like Nick said, it's only an hour and 10 minutes. I can think of a lot of things to do for an hour and 10 minutes than sit here and watch this movie.
Hey,
So
you do that for an hour and 10 minutes, you're go blind.
Yeah,
That's what my
I
mom
can sit-
told me.
I can sit in the bathroom for an hour and 10 minutes on my phone and wait to go to the bathroom. I'd rather do that than watch this movie. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
this
wouldn't
movie-
tell people to go out and watch it, but I
No.
you
think
need to watch it.
just the fact that you got to see this cast of characters together, I think is cool. To see like Betty White and Rickles married in a movie, again,
Yes.
it doesn't make it, but it is amazing. I would love to talk to the writer or the director of this movie. Like to get those people, that's got to be amazing. You write a movie, and that's like obviously a spec script because it's an already established idea. You write this and you get like these big names, but then like that Brown thing, I can't believe that made
Yeah.
it into the movie. I know it was a different time in 98, 99, but man, like that's bad.
I first of all, I think
like
Nick's
whose
too
idea
nice.
was that?
I think you're too nice. I think
Oh.
I think every single movie you reviewed, I think you said
Well,
you recommended watching it.
I set my bar at
Cannonball Run
Munchie.
too.
Like
He's good.
I
that's-
started at
okay.
Munchie, and Munchie is my bar. That's where I'm like, all right,
That's a
everything is
ti-
like
that's
it's on
high
a
up.
scale.
Yeah, but you know what though? Munchie has moved so high up the list based on all the movies I've been reviewing.
Really?
I mean, like based on the movies we've been doing, yes. You didn't see did you see the Christmas one that we just did? In Graceland?
No, I did not.
Oof. I mean, so yeah, trust me, there's a lot of movies that are way below Munchie at this point. I mean,
one thing I have to say before we get into next week, me and Jamie will do a 2024 year in review. We'll talk about some of the movies we did, some of the interviews, look back on some great moments, and then do a little tease of some amazing stuff we already have planned and in the can for January. But no, I would say like it's crazy when you go back and watch other kids' movies, like me having, an almost 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, like those movies actually move really good. Like Munchie compared to some of these other ones that you're like, oh, let me try this one. It's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things because it's like really fast paced. It's like, oh, whatever. We're just gonna these silly, corny jokes. I know kids won't get them, but we get them.
I think the problem with Munchie is the puppet or whatever it is so stupid.
Oh, it looks terrible.
Right. And so I say so because the jokes are fun. Like they're definitely Dom DeLuise and like there is like humor there. But if the puppet looked better, then it's a different and I think that's what makes it so bad and cheesy is because of what it looks like.
It still haunts my dreams. Yeah.
But and the second one, Munchie Strikes Back. So if you guys are new here, be sure to check out. We have a ton of content over. So this is episode, I think, 351.
That's insane.
Just guess that off my head. So we have a lot. So make sure you please subscribe on YouTube, on all social media. Check out our website, sequelsonly.com. And Nick, thank you for joining us for our last sequel of the year. And next week, be sure to tune in 2024 year in review. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.